Scott King here with Forbes.com, joined by A.J. Galante of Netflix's Untold, Crime, and Penalties, who now is a promoter for boxing with Prize Promotions and the co-founder of Champs Boxing Club. The experience of being the GM at the time, and that kind of the way you guys were kind of like rock stars, did that prepare you for all this? The way you're getting all these requests now and attention?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously back then it was nowhere near the stage that we're kind of on now, but from a very early age, at least locally, we for better or worse, we always seem to be in some sort of a spotlight, and you learn very quickly how to deal with people, how to speak with journalists or TV, radio, magazines, whatever. So, looking back, I'm grateful for that experience because I was able to, like you said, just even to speak to someone like you, it's all those years past, it's prepared me, honestly.
Obviously talked about in the film, and there's so many parallels, but were you ever specifically given indications that The Sopranos was based on your family? I mean, there's obvious parallels that you guys touched on in the doc, but you ever hear anyone from Hollywood or HBO go, yeah, that's you guys?
No, not really. I mean, it's funny because no one believes me. I personally didn't watch The Sopranos when it was like live and going on. I watched it after this, their series had ended. I got like a DVD box set once and when I watched it. Look, where I'm from, I think there's a lot of people that sees a lot of parallels with themselves. There's like a million guys who think that show's based on themselves probably. So, I get it, especially with the son being AJ, which personally I'd rather be compared to Metal Soprano than AJ Soprano. But I mean, I understand, you start, if you think long enough, you could kind of point, oh, that's awkward, that's a coincidence. But no, I've heard it, but it's not like David Chase came over and said, hey guys, we're gonna let's work on this script. You know what I mean?
I want to get your take on this. I don't know if it's the way it was marketed or just so happens that in the trailer, you're this kid with like sideways hat and everything, but it was a real shock, I think, to myself and other people, the way things played out is no, this isn't a spoiled kid, a punk or anything. This is a guy who loves hockey and look what he ends up doing with this team. I guess how serious did you take this? I mean, for things to go the way they did and for the players to respect you, for the city to respect you and the organization, how much hard work did you put into it? And what kind of things do you think made it take off?
Well, listen, I mean, what you see is what you get with me, just like my father. I think, what happened, Scott, was I knew when my dad kind of put me in this position at a young age, I knew I was going to get all sorts of static from it. Oh, the spoiled kid, he's, here's the keys to the Ferrari type of thing. And I've always been sensitive to that growing up. And I've always my dad has always taught me to be humble, treat people with respect. When I realized very early on that that's how I was going to be received, I kind of took a playbook out of professional wrestling, to be honest with you, because I realized, look, I'm going to get torched as it is. I might as well amplify it a little bit. And not that what you saw wasn't me, that was me, but I knew, hey, listen, you know what? Let's amplify this a little, if we will, and it just plays into part with what we were trying to build, overall, and I think it worked. And I think it's another lesson. Don't judge a book by its cover as well, because I mean, I took it. I mean, it was my whole world. I mean, I really didn't have a social life at the time. I mean, I just was totally dedicated to this team. My studies, obviously, at school, but no, I mean, it was very serious. And, my loyalty to my father, I mean, if he's going off a cliff, I'm going off with him, you know what I mean? And he wanted, for whatever the reason, he wanted me to do this. And, I just felt an obligation to do as good of a job as I could. And it was, and I get a lot of credit, Scott, and I really, it's humbling and I appreciate it, but it wasn't just me. We have a great team. We had a great team around us, and, it all seemed to gel.
Yeah, but I covered hockey for 10 years before entertainment. So I know when you're the guy hiring and you're the guy that's got to do some research, that is a lot of work. So, I've heard you say in an interview that I think there's about 30 minutes that Netflix cut. I think this
Yeah.
could have been at least a 3-part series. So I guess I would have liked to seen more of you organizing things and getting into why you're hiring certain guys. What do you remember about that process? You know, it's, again, talk about a whirlwind. You get handed the team, it settles in, and then I guess take me through your first few hires and who had the biggest impact moving forward.
Well, yeah, I mean, after, when it's announced and we have the press conference and it's all this hoopla and, all these big media outlets covered it. When that adrenaline wears off, it's kind of like, okay, now we now we have a job to do. It's like, okay, this is serious. This isn't like just some funny press conference. And, and again, back then, we didn't really have social media. You couldn't just look someone up on Facebook or Instagram or message people. So really, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I used to go through the official like UHL media guide manual and like call people that I found in the books that was like accessible to the public or fans. It's one of those books you could buy for like $20 and it has the information on the league and everything. And look, you just start making calls, you start knocking on doors and things start, and it was tough because I don't think the rest of the league owners really liked where the direction we were going, like right off the bat. So it was kind of like, we were a little iced out at first. I think we turned a lot of people's opinions as time went on, but that first year, especially, we leaned on our equipment manager, Tommy Pomposello, who was, involved with minor league hockey in the past. And he kind of had some input on certain guys in the league. And he kind of exactly knew what we were looking to build, the type of players we were looking for. And, we just winged it, Scott. We winged it. We just, we threw it at the wall and whatever stuck, things just started to snowball.
Can you pinpoint a time where it went from being that the team was those guys thought their role was to be those sandpaper guys, hard in the corners, dropping the gloves, to, oh, we got some skill, or is it kind of when you got Rupp that guys started finding the scoring touch a little bit?
No, the dirty little secret about our team, and this was part of our strategy, to be honest, was the dirty little secret was our teams were always very skillful and good. And I think the reason they were so good was, and from hockey is, when you have that security blanket on your line, guys aren't going to take shots at you. Guys aren't going to try to run you. And guys had a lot of open space. And, it was one of those things where all the media attention, and rightfully so, went to a lot of our antics, the fights, the brawls, whatever me and my dad did that weekend. That's where the attention went to. But behind all that, we were winning. And we had guys that could play. And I tell you what, you would think a skilled guy wouldn't want to be part of a team like that, but they embraced it because they knew no one's going to even slash me because they know they're going to have to answer for it. So
right.
I think between the mental warfare and the intimidation coming to Danbury and or us, kind of coming up there, I mean, it's I think it worked in unison.
I saw you say in an interview, I think it was with Frank Saravelli, that you guys tried to trade for Shawn Avery. Were there some other like kind of big moves where you're swinging for the fences and you would have liked to seen it work out?
Shawn Avery was put on this earth to be a Danbury Trasher. And I, to this day, I'm so upset. For whatever, and it wasn't one party or the other. It was just, for whatever the reason, the stars weren't aligned. And maybe it was better for him. He didn't end up in Danbury because he did have a successful career, before and after. But no, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When the lockout became official, like a full season lockout, we were going after the big heavyweights in the NHL. We were looking for Donald Brashear. We were looking for Georges Laraque. And we just, for no other reason, just because. And it would have been a photo for the ages if we were able to pull some of it off,
One of the things that was talked about a lot, obviously, is the birthday party. And as those WWE superstars that were there got bigger and bigger as you got older, The Rock becomes like one of the most bankable movie stars. Does that party just keep playing off as you're growing up? Like, oh my God, we got a home video of these guys here at our house.
Yeah, especially my mom. Every time we see like a trailer with him in it to this day, she's like, he was in our backyard. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's weird, right? And, even like Triple H, who's like one of the biggest guys in the WWE now, obviously behind the scenes. And, all these guys went on to have huge careers in and out of the ring. It's yeah, but especially with The Rock, I always get asked, oh my God, now, especially with this documentary, people are just, most of the messages I get is, oh, can I talk to The Rock? I'm like, I haven't seen him in, 20 something years. I'm not like friends with them, but no, I mean, it was, they were all great, great people.
It was kind of a noticeable part of the documentary when Brent Gretzky's introduced, and then I feel like I didn't really recall what type of player he was on the team. Other things stood out to me. So, what kind of player was he? Did what kind of impact did he have with the Trashers?
Well, that was always tough. And I tell people all the time, I have such respect for Brent Gretzky for so many different reasons, but the main reason is the obvious. You know, if I'm Michael Jordan's brother, I'm probably not going to look to play basketball. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? And, this is a guy that's been in a shadow, not probably, a guy who's been in a shadow his whole life. And in a way, I've been in the shadow most of my life as well. So I kind of felt a connection to him right away. But I got to tell you, he could play at the level we were playing at. He was one of the top scorers in the league. He had some injury problems that year with us, towards the end of the year, unfortunately. But when he was healthy, I mean, if you ripped the name off the back of his jersey, I mean, you would just be like, wow, that guy is he's something else. I mean, he obviously got a lot of media attention for obvious reasons, but I tell you, he could play.
Do you feel like you missed out on any normal things in your teenage years, or was it just a blast to bring your buddies to the rink and maybe a date?
That's a great question. I never got asked that. Looking back, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, it was an opportunity of a lifetime. It's such a humbling thing now that this story just for whatever the reason won't die. And I'm glad I took a leap of faith. And honestly, I owe it to my father. He, without him, he's the visionary. I mean, I get a lot of the attention because of my age, but frankly, my father was a guy that always put me in a position to succeed. We've always had that relationship even to this day. And yeah, I mean, there were times, going to the rink for, 3 games in a row. It's a grind, and, not to mention I had school, I had reports or papers to write, and it took its toll, but ultimately it was an experience. A lot of my friends, ended up in the doc, they made little cameos, and just to be able to see us together and for them to be excited, it was so nostalgic, honestly, Scott, because it was a team, it was a family thing, all of us, anyone who bought a ticket, if it was once, or I don't care if you were an employee who was an usher. I mean, we all made history together. And so no, I don't have any regrets, but it was different. 100%. It was a different situation.
I know for the last several years, you've really put all your energy into prize promotion and Champs Boxing Club. So had you really moved on with your life and found something new when Netflix came calling to do this?
Oh yeah, I mean, when the team disbanded in 06, sorry about that. When the team disbanded in 2006, I was done with hockey as a whole. I stopped watching it. I'm a big New Jersey Devil fan. I stopped watching the team. I stopped, and it was hard, especially the first few years, because that's all everyone talked about to me. And I wanted nothing to do with the team, the Trashers. I was really trying to bury it, and it never goes away. Whatever you're trying to bury in life, it's never going to go away. It'll rear its head. And, just by fluke, just like with the Trashers, in 2011, I had an opportunity to get involved with a pro boxer. I got approached to help, represent him. And it was I knew nothing about boxing. The only thing I knew about boxing growing up was Mike Tyson, like the rest of the world. I don't even know if I'm a fan of boxing still to this day, but I saw an opportunity to kind of get back. I mean, I felt like I was missing something, and I'm like, you know what? And when I got involved, it was the missing link, and I felt like, wow, I'm kind of back. We're doing something that I could be part of. Boxing's a whole nother. That's the Wild West is boxing. But I've been in boxing now 10 and a half years. My gym, Champs Boxing Club, has been open 6.5. That's where I get my pride is helping these kids. You get a lot of kids come in. We have a nonprofit, and that's where I get the joy. We deal a lot with professionals, amateurs, but dealing with the kids, seeing them happy to come to the gym, that's everything to me. And I see a lot of parallels with what we did with the Trashers in weird ways. Sometimes I'll sit back and be like, wow, that's kind of weird. That's something my dad would do, or, a lot of super parallels. It's very strange. Not to mention the gym is about 2 minutes from the ice arena. So it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable.
Lastly, something that happened a little bit before the documentary was, I guess you found yourself in a feud with John Oliver, the comedian. Like, is that take me? It was hard to follow for me researching it. Can you kind of take me through how that all? I think it started with comments on his show. Can you take me through how that all happened, and if you're still in a beef with him?
No, I mean, I never even met the man. I guess what happened was I overheard on our local radio station that he went on for whatever the reason and took a shot at Danbury, and our local station here. I'm really friends with the morning guys. I've since the Trasher days, and one of the guys kind of texted me the video, and I said, hey, let's challenge him to come to Champs and spar with the mayor, because the mayor at the time, him and the mayor were going back and forth. So I kind of offered our gym as a facility. I thought we could do a nice little pay-per-view stream or something.
Maybe now that you got some heat again, maybe you'll hear from.
Hey, you never know, but you know what? He I heard he's a good guy. He actually came to Danbury and met with the mayor and stuff. And no, I've heard a lot of good things about him. But no, I mean, hey, listen, I'm a Danbury guy. I'm a Scrap City guy. So if one of us is down, we're all coming for you.
Thanks so much, AJ. That's the questions I have for you. I really appreciate it.
No, Scott, thank you for the time, man. Like I said, I appreciate anyone who's interested in the doc and the story. I really appreciate it.
It was excellent, definitely.